You are listening to Claret Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret Blue podcast. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter this afternoon, I believe, if I've done my job correctly. My name is Dan Rolinson. He just caught me on singing the theme tune there in buoyant mood after Villa have ended a 5-game winless streak. I'm joined by Matt Kendrick in, is that a retro shirt now, 2010-11?
I think it's classed as anything in my wardrobe is classed as retro, mate. So I think it's FX Pro. What's that? I associate with the Julio year, I think.
Yeah, that was Julio season. I think Ashley Young's last year, maybe, was that?
Yeah, potentially. I see a bit of Stuart Downing.
That black, was it black as wasn't it? The away kit with like diamond checkerboard things on the side.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
We do.
It's all about the big dub today, as nobody calls it.
Oh yeah, all right. It's a great start to get into it, isn't it? I'm kind of going to preface everything we say here that yes, it's only Norwich. Yes, they're bottom of the league. Yes, they've just been relegated. But I mean, we're kind of identified this almost as a mini banana skin, a team that's all but relegated, but still scrapping as much as they can. Obviously, the Dean Smith factor. So yes, it's only Norwich, but a win's a win. You only face what's in front of you. It puts that record of 5 games without a win to bed. It's 2 clean sheets in a row. A couple of goals for both the strikers, and we'll get into all those talking points about it. But Matt, just give me your summary, your 60 seconds or so of how your experience was this afternoon.
Yeah, I know we all hailed Dean Smith as the Messiah, but not even the Messiah could keep that Norwich team up because they're pretty poor, to be honest. But I think made hard work at beating them. Having said that, there were a lot of chances created ultimately. A little bit flat, but we've waited a long time to win a football match. I think it's those 3 points that should put to bed any lingering doubts. The more worried and the more pessimistic amongst our ranks who thought we could still get dragged into it. So I think it's the 3 points that see us safe. It's obviously the 3 points that send Norwich down. There'll be better afternoons at Villa Park, but it was a case of getting the job done on an occasion where Villa didn't really play that well, but neither did they have to beat the worst side in the division, really.
Yeah, nice little summary. Let's do what we always do then and rewind back to team news first of all. I've tried to get my pronunciation down since yesterday. Me and John Townley, who's covering for Ash, who's in Benidorm. By the way, hello Ash, if you're watching. That's a dedicated supporter, Ash, if you are, to be fair. Go and get the beers in. John did the press conference yesterday and there was talk of Tim Irobunam, I believe is how the pronunciation is now. Me and John fell over each other yesterday trying to work out how to say it. And I said it's embarrassing really that we can't pronounce this guy's name and disrespectful. So Tim Irobunam, I believe it is, the G is silent, starts kind of out of nowhere to a degree, but it was kind of on the cards potentially as we got towards the end of the season. Does he get in there? Chambers in for Conser as well. And then Luca Dean plays left back, who not necessarily out for the season, but it sounded like he wouldn't play until maybe the last game or so. Luca Dean comes back from nowhere to play left back. So you're on your way to Villa Park, 2:00 hits. What was your thoughts on that team news?
First thought was a bit like you. I've got to text John Townley to check how we say it, Irobunam, and I've shared a message with you. He's messaged me back saying Gerard says it's a silent G, so I'd go with Irobunam.
Irobunam, yes. That
was the first thing. I'm probably a little bit surprised that Bailey started. Again.
Well, no, I disagree. The talk from Gerald was that he kind of needs to have a run of games to see what he's got, and we'll discuss Bailey in depth. Probably is the biggest talking point of this afternoon to a degree. So I kind of knew Bailey would start. It was Buendia was the one who I thought was probably unlucky to miss out to an extent, saying he was kind of craving to start a game and against his old side and stuff like that. So I did think Buendia would maybe be in there. Bailey on the other side and Coutinho at the 10 is what I kind of half expected, but then that means dropping the 3 midfield, which Gerard hasn't done. So, I thought Bailey would play, and like I said, we'll discuss him in a bit. But yeah, you were surprised to see him though.
Possibly surprised in the sense that I don't think it's hard, isn't it? Because it's hard to say, well, he's not doing enough to start a game if he's getting limited appearance time in the past, but. Yeah, well, we will come to him shortly. But that was seeing young Tim in the side was the biggest surprise. Didn't really. Well, I suppose The Chambers Conser one is an interesting one as well. Gerrard was quick to point out in his post-match interview that that's 5 clean sheets in 9 now. So it's an interest. We've said this before, but that was the reason that Chambers was signed. That was the reason why Twanzebe was let go, and that Chambers has moved ahead of Courtney Hawes in the pecking order, because now we've got three quality centre halves for the place in the Premier League that we currently occupy, which is around the mid-table area. So yeah, listen, it was one of those where, without being too disrespectful to Dino's Norwich, that you'd have expected whichever combination of players Villa put out today would have had enough to beat Norwich, even on the run that we've been in recent weeks.
Yeah, I said yesterday, we did a preview. It was for Facebook Live, so people who watch the podcast won't have seen that. Well, unless you follow the Facebook page, of course. And I said it was as near as a shoe-in to a victory as you can get in the Premier League, where no game is written, obviously, and there is still that Dean Smith factor, and Norwich were never going to get out of it, were they? Let's face it, it was a massive task they had on their hands, but you never know if they nick a result here and there. So there was this potential banana skin, and I was saying, it's as much a shoe-in as you can get to have Norwich at home, and you'll win that game. And as soon as I said it, I thought, that's going to come back to bite me if we do slip up here. But as you say, even with the quality of what we've got in the squad, how it isn't quite performing to its potential, that I think it's probably could get top 10, semi comfortably. Really, it's kind of harbouring around 14th, 15th for the latter end of the season. That's still got enough to beat bottom place Norwich. They're bottom of every stat going, and that's what it was in the end. But it was kind of not uncomfortable, because I never really feared that we were going to concede at any point, but it's not that emphatic victory that I thought we might have seen, that we'd be 2 or 3 up at half time or something like that, holding right out to the last seconds before we make it 2-0. Is that the kind of how you saw it as well?
Yeah, I thought just made a little bit of hard work of it, and I think we've had this conversation many times throughout the season as well about, is it the players who need to get the crowd going? Is it the crowd who need to get the players going? And I thought that Norwich already looked like a team that were relegated for me. They didn't come and offer much. They were prepared to play keep ball, in their own half without really hurting us. So I thought the onus was on us to go and really kind of go and take the game to them. And I felt that we did it slowly. There were probably a couple of 10-minute periods where we looked good. But again, I suppose it's just beating what's in front of you. And I think it was crucial to get the breakthrough goal when it came, because I felt there's a few murmurs and a few grumbles coming along. But I mean, I've just, as I always do, just to make sure to check my old memories going properly, I have a little quick flick through the YouTube highlights when I get back, and there's actually some decent chances created.
Yeah.
Ings could have had a hat-trick. Ollie Watkins perhaps could have, had another couple himself. Bailey's obviously hit the bar as well, or a great save from Tim Krul to flick that one onto the bar. So, what have Norwich had? Really, you've probably had one save from Rashika in the first half from Martinez. So
that was a decent save.
It was comfortable without, like you say, without being particularly clinical or emphatic.
Yeah, I think I saw something before Norwich that said something like our XG over the last X amount of games. Oh man, I should have found this out really. It was something like we should have scored 7 and we'd only scored 2. So we were really underperforming given the chances we were creating.
He's obsessed with 7-2, isn't he, Dean Smith?
And I kind of felt like, again, I've not seen the stats for today, but I'd imagine the amount of chances we've made versus the 2 goals we scored, that we were clear in the game to get the win, and the chances were kind of better than you feel they are at the time. And on another day, if you're slightly more clinical, you are 3-0 up at half time or something like that, and a neutral would look at that and go, "Oh, Villa are smashing Norwich at home," as you'd expect. To see it 0-0 for so long was kind of getting a little bit edgy, to think it only takes Tyrone Mings to do something silly here, or Luca Dean to give away a penalty, and we're absolutely right under the cosh. So it's one of them where you just think, let's just get over the line. It doesn't necessarily have to be pretty, and 5-0, 2-0, clean sheet, move on to the next game, and try and get a little bit of momentum for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, it's 2 clean sheets on the spin now. It's both of our centre forwards on the score
Yeah.
sheet today. It's a debut. I mean, should we talk about debut? I'm going to check notes. But for Tim Irabunam, is that right, Irabunam?
Yeah, I've written it down phonetically now. I'll put a W in there to remind me that it's Iro rather than Erogue. I think.
It's all about the big W today, mate. It really is. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, he's an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Surprised that he threw him in there, but that just shows that the old kind of adage: if you're good enough, you're old enough. And Gerrard does tend to believe that. I think,
Yeah.
especially how much trust he's placed in Jacob Ramsey this season as well. I thought he did okay. I thought there was a couple of times when he tried to force the issue a little bit and ended up giving the ball
Bit of
away.
naivety, I thought, at times.
Yeah,
which
giving
is
the ball away.
what you expect of an 18-year-old on his debut.
Yeah, I don't think he ever looked overawed. He was still comfortable
No.
in receiving the ball in fairly tight areas. And like I say, I think there's a couple of times where he tried to force the pass and ended up telegraphing it to the opposition. A big chance for him. I think it was when the Ings header came back off the bar and he smashed the rebound into the hole. I thought that would been a big moment if he'd have buried that one. Looked mobile, looked strong. Couple of important headers. I do. My nephew was saying this when we were talking about Tim's debut, saying, "What would if that was Louise giving that performance? Would he have been battered and hammered for it?" Now, I thought it was a reasonable performance. Louise giving the same performance may have been criticised, but then again, Louise is a Brazilian international versus a teenage debutant, I think. But I thought there were signs. I thought the two around him were okay. Today, I thought Ramsey was decent. I thought McGinn had a decent game as well. So I think that he had support around him anyway. Got a really good ovation when he came off. So I like it. I like the fact that Gerrard trusts players enough to throw them in and give them a chance.
Are we missing kind of somebody who can play the ball, with, kind of ping a few passes a little bit with that midfield? I know Ramsey is probably the best of the three, maybe for his passing. McGinn's your workhorse. Ramsey will carry the ball forward, and Irabunam's there to break things up. Are we kind of missing? I don't think Douglas Luiz is the best passer of the ball. Are we missing kind of that person to ping it off to get it forward to the strikers?
Probably actually got that person if we wanted, Dan. If Gerrard felt we got enough protection around him, we probably got that person in Buendia who could potentially play a little bit deeper if Gerrard thought that the front three was to come from three different players. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see him in there. I think
was that number 8, Buendia?
Yeah, I think he tends to be busy enough. He's not a lazy player. For a flair player, I don't find him a lazy player. I find he gets stuck in and he tries to close down the ball. So that might be, if it's Coutinho or Buendia for a more advanced role. Coutinho seems to have the kind of the ear of the manager at the moment. So I don't know. It's something now that we've made that 40-point mark. I think it's something that I'm not sure Gerrard necessarily will experiment with, but it's something that perhaps he could do. And I think if you're saying that we are missing a ball-playing midfielder in there, of the people at our disposal, he's probably the best bet, I'd have thought.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Buendia. Actually, we'll do it now because there was a question earlier. Jack Marston says, I'm dying to see Buendia play more. And King 81 says, first discussion point, what does Buendia have to do to get a start? Part of that might be Liam Bailey getting injured and not really doing much for a game and a half, I guess. He played 30-odd minutes, 35 minutes, something like that today. But yeah, it might be that kind of positional tweak that rather than Buendia playing as a second number 10 or as the right-sided midfielder, the right winger, that maybe he does drop a bit deeper and it's Irobunam, Ramsey and Buendia as a 3 with Coutinho.
Without looking now, can't you? You've got that.
Yeah, I've got it now. I'm playing respectful to try and get his name right now. I think I've got it. I did start just calling him Big Tim at one point, but I thought that's probably worse. Who else played up front? Watkins, Coutinho, Bailey, of course. Yeah, so yeah, Watkins, Coutinho, and Buendia. No, not Buendia. So who would play right wing then? If Buendia's playing
Bailey played right wing. Coutinho played left. Started off on the left.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's your forward three in whatever game, if Wendy is now coming back to play number 8, who plays instead of Bailey if he's injured? Traore or Ings and Watkins?
Oh well, listen. You were trying for me to get Buendia in the team. If there's already a vacancy, we don't need to. I'm just trying to help you. You wanted a ball playing midfielder, mate. Don't put it all on me. I'm just trying to help you.
If Bailey is injured, Buendia will play right wing, and the rest of it remains the same.
Yeah. What does Buendia need to do to start? He either needs to move to a number 8, he either needs Leon Bailey to get injured, or in my mind, he needs a Brazilian passport and a Liverpool star. That's probably the other alternative. But I thought that today I didn't think he was going to get on at all. But when he did get on, listen, it's at a time when, I say the game's won. It was still only 1-0, but the game is pretty much effectively won. Norwich know that they're falling through the trapdoor again and probably a little bit tired by then. So Buendia probably did have an easier. Listen, I'm not trying to underplay what he did. The impact that he made, I thought, when he was on the pitch, I thought he was made. He was easier on the eye than most of the players who started the game, in my opinion. He looked like he was really up for it. Obviously, he's got a big affinity with Norwich and the Norwich fans, and he wanted to come on and show that the player that they remember, that they loved, is still shining bright, albeit elsewhere. And I thought he actually, some of his movement and some of his intricate kind of close control in the final third for Villa, I actually thought he probably could. I was surprised he was as selfless as he was, because I thought he'd be busting a gut to score that goal, but he was actually, even in those dangerous areas, was like for the winning goal, for the second goal, when he's bearing down on goal and he slipped Ramsey in at a time where he could have shot. I do feel a little bit for him, and I think there's this kind of will he stay or will he go Coutinho thing. Listen, we've raved about Little Film, haven't we? In recent podcasts over the during the time that he's been here. But I just hope that whatever's going on in the background with Coutinho doesn't lose us Buendia, because I think there's still a gem of a player in there. I think he's 100%. I think there's real hunger in there. I was a bit slow to the party, I must admit. I think earlier in the season, I perhaps harshly likened him to the new Carlos Hill.
I think he did take time to get up to speed, though. I think that's still fair. Yeah.
I've never been as kind of Gabby Bonhor in my criticism.
True.
Buendia, but I think the Bailey. I think Gerard's come out and said Bailey's done his ankle. I think, hasn't he?
I haven't seen anything. No.
There was a real doubt for the next couple of games. So that is Buendia's opportunity.
Yeah, if Bailey was fit, he wouldn't play the next game for me anyway. He didn't do enough in the first 35 minutes or the last game. I mean, you could argue he didn't do enough in the last game to even start today, but Joel keeps talking about him being the best trainer and kind of giving the people opportunities who deserve it. If you're the best trainer and you don't get picked, you kind of look around and go, why am I not playing? So I understand the pathway for Bailey being given a chance. But even if he wasn't injured, it'd be Buendia in there for me. I think if Coutinho is to sign, which is still kind of up in the air, will he, won't he? It's not a case of the summer like, let's build the team around Coutinho. You've got to try and find a way to build the team around Coutinho and Buendia, I think. If Buendia's still here, which I believe he will be, I don't think you can have this thing where Buendia only plays 20 minutes at the end of games or whatever. I know it's nice to bring a player of that calibre on to maybe change a game, but build a side that fits them both in is surely the task at hand here.
I think, a side that fits them both in, or just be fair with the opportunities, I think, because I thought Coutinho played well in flashes today, but I'm not sure he's quite judged by the same standards by the manager. And maybe that's Gerard knowing that he needs to keep playing him to try and seal that deal, to get it over the line. So maybe there's a little bit of that in it. But I think it's Buendia knowing that when he does make an impact, or when he's the best trainer, he gets the same opportunities and he gets in the team. Gerard's no mug. He knows Buendia has got that bit of magic as well. And maybe it is a luxury to get them both in the team regularly. But just think, if that's the case, you play the one who's in form, you play the one who's really made the difference on any given day, and give them the opportunity to be in the team next. But seeing Dean Smith back at Villa Park kind of took my down on memory lane to 3 years ago when we were winning promotion from the Championship. We're now arguing over whether nice problems to have is basically what I'm saying. If you argue, whether to get your record signing or your kind of Brazilian superstar in the team, it's a little bit of a different debate to when we were hoping Yannick Bolasie would hit it off, or previously. I know we're here rather than then, but I feel like I say nice problems to have.
Yeah. Let's talk about Leon Bailey then. I kind of thought on the way, just let's say Leon Bailey discuss and kind of let you go at it. But there's some comments that have come in from fans watching that I'll just flash up and read out. And I'll try and pick the kindest ones. Steve Berry says Bailey is finished, needs to go. Luca Dean is made of rubber. Bailey is made of porcelain. It's interesting. John Grew says Bailey made of glass. No, seriously, is he? King 81, Bailey is as strong and durable as wet toilet paper. And pound for pound, Brett Riverboat says Bailey will go down as one of our worst signings. I don't know. To be honest, it's how I feel about Leon Bailey. I want to like him. I want to give him this chance. It's his first season in English football. He did well in Germany, but he's come over and been hampered by injuries, a managerial change, not really fitting into a side because we haven't played wingers for a large majority under Steven Gerrard. But when he does get a chance, he doesn't really do a lot, and he always seems to get injured. So it's a bit like the Morgan Stanton thing. There might be a player in there, but maybe not necessarily at Aston Villa. What do you make of Bailey and maybe some of those comments as well?
I think sometimes you get a player who, despite all the hype and all the excitement and all the promise, just don't turn out to be a good fit. And that's where I see it at the moment. I hope I'm wrong because, again, I'm not proclaiming to be a massive fan of the Jamaican international team or of Bundesliga football, but I've seen the show reels. I've seen Leon Bailey's Instagram, and there's bits of magic in there. There really is. There's real quality, and it's not as if he's come, as a complete unknown who's never played in a strong European league. He's played at a very, very good, stating the obvious, but this is not a completely kind of raw gem. This is not when it's probably a bit of an easy analogy to make, being it's from the Caribbean, but this is not when Graham Taylor bought Dwight York from the beaches of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a player who has already played in an elite league in Germany.
Champions League?
Well, yeah. So, but it just, I don't know, and I can't pretend that I know the guy or know the people around him, but the feeling that I get from it is that it's kind of main man or nothing really, and that might be me being harsh, but because he hasn't kind of electrified Villa Park, with the exception of when he scored that goal against Everton, because that hasn't happened. I think it's hard for him to almost play his way into form. I think he wants to think, I'm Leon Bailey. I'm a performer. I'm a showman. I want to dazzle and I want to excite. And whereas I'm not sure that's going to come naturally if you've got to get up to the demands of the Premier League in terms of how physical it is, how fast it is. It's a hard gig for him when he's clearly phically vulnerable. I think because I don't know. I'd like to see the tackle back today because he got a knock early on, which I think was it was a robust challenge. I can't remember whether a foul was given or not. But that seemed to unsettle him, and whether that's the one that's hurt him, I don't know. But I think he still came back and had that moment where he smacked the shot that looked like it was heading top corner. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be amazed if we get to see the version of Leon Bailey that we thought we'd signed up for, because I don't know, in the time that it will take to convince Gerrard that he's the main man, which is probably the next. How many games have got left? 5 games, something like
5,
that.
yeah.
Probably in the next 5 games. I don't think there'll be enough opportunity. Well, there won't because he's injured now, but there won't be enough opportunity to convince Gerrard. And I think by then, I think the checkbook will be back out to try and bring in an upgrade on several people in several positions. So I think it might be one of those. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love him to prove us wrong. And I was chatting on the way back with with my lad and some of the people I travelled to the game with, saying, just remember last summer when we lost Grealish and Christian Purslow does the almost kind of Holy Trinity speech that we've signed Ings and we've signed Bailey and we've signed Buendia, and it was kind of good PR at the time because we thought, well, actually, we've seen the pedigree of all of these people, and even the way he sold it, you can't replace Jack Grealish with one person, you replace him with 3 people. None of those signings has really, really kind of captured the imagination since when they actually arrived. But of the 3, Bailey's been by far the most disappointing.
Yeah. It's a confidence issue, potentially. Like you say, if you can't kind of get a rhythm going, that's not going to help. Injury problems as well. Like today is the perfect opportunity. You're kind of rewarded with another start after you probably almost didn't deserve it last week. You've trained well, you get in there and a tackle takes you out and you take a knock and you're injured and that's that. And that's football, isn't it? There's a comment from Mike. He says, if Crawl doesn't make an incredible save on his shot and that goes in, what's the conversation then? And like I said, that's football, isn't it? That's the fine margins. If that goes in the top corner, he runs away in celebration and finds a bit of confidence, it is a totally different conversation.
It is, but it's,
But that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, if my auntie had.
Exactly, yeah.
etc. Listen, I'm not... But who's to say, even if he'd ping one in the top corner, Bailey would have still gone off injured potentially and would have had to try and wait another month potentially. Well, there isn't. If you wait another month,
yeah.
be a quiet Villa Park. But listen, I'm not writing him off completely, but I don't think I'm the only Villa fan who would have expected more and been disappointed with the return. Yeah. And listen, I don't think there's anybody more disappointed than Leon Bailey. I think he wants to be a real part of that. I know it's stating the obvious, but he wants to be a part of that and show us what he's all about. And just we haven't seen enough of it.
There was a comment earlier on, I can't find it now, saying that he's better than El Ghazi and Trezeguet. It's like, yeah, but I kind of expect more from a player that we signed for 28, 20, 30 million to be better than what we had before, who weren't even that good.
You could probably edit together a package of me moaning about El Ghazi and Trezeguet, but if you looked at their numbers in recent seasons, goals and assists, I don't think you would find that Leon Bailey is better. Listen, they would have had a lot more opportunities and had a lot more time on the pitch than Bailey to have shown that. Let's just see. I mean, he's got a few more years left on his contract, so let's hope that. Well, I was going to say let's hope that let's hope that he does shine. But the other half of you thinks let's hope that Villa do get an upgrade in that position. We're all greedy, aren't we?
Yeah. Raphael says, down, I counter that by saying, is he actually better than them? Which, that's fair enough if you do look at numbers. El Ghazi got 10 goals in the one season, I think. Was that last season? Yeah, it must have been. Let's move on from Leon Bailey and talk about one of those trio that you mentioned. Jimmy Callaghan. I can't move on. Jimmy Callaghan says Bailey's legs are made of chopsticks, and that's made me laugh. Have you got a weird analogy that you can compare his flake ability to?
Think of
a flake is probably a good one. A Cadbury's flake.
Flaky. The one I usually say, I think I've used this during the relegation season, that Villa are flakier than an ice cream van full of 99s or something, something like that.
You had a great line about having the soft underbelly of a newborn puppy as well, which I still like. That still gets a little chuckle out of me.
Your dog's put some weight on, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. So let's not talk about that. On that video, by the way,
shame your dog. I'm sorry, Simon.
There's the behind the scenes video that we did for the 1982 podcast, which you can go and watch conveniently. Legs like cheese strings. That's a good one. Yeah, thanks, Matt, for that. Somebody said it's weird seeing you two sat together on the sofa. It kind of looks a bit awkward. And also, whoever's house that is, it update the wallpaper.
I did see that. Did see the dish in Mum and Dad's decor.
I mean, it was done in the 90s, early 2000s. What do you expect? Anyway, let's talk about one of the other trio signings from the summer, Danny Ings, probably the one who's made the biggest impact over the course of the season out of the three, and certainly made the biggest impact today. Legs made a Weetabix. Yeah, getting good. I should turn the comments off because I'm just getting distracted. Danny Ings comes on. We instantly score. And a cracking assist from him. That ball was brilliant. And then he tidy finish to seal it with the second goal as well. Man of the match for Danny Ings.
Before I
contributed to both goals.
Just before I answer that, let me. When the stadium announced that it was Buendia coming on? I don't know whether he was. I don't know whether he was trying to advise the manager that's who he thought should come on or what. But it was really funny when Ings enters the pitch and he says, "Aston Villa number 10, then Emi Buendia," and like the whole team starts singing, "You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing," and that was going on. And I was a bit distracted. Before I knew it, Ings pings, a diagonal, and Ollie Watkins profits on the guy slipping. I can't remember who it was. The centre half slipping and knocking it away. But yeah, I think man of the match.
I think I've got an app, the Premier League app, that's sponsored by Budweiser. I think it is. They gave it to Watkins for scoring and obviously had a couple of chances, but goal and assist for Ings in 50 minutes of football or whatever. It's not bad going, is it? That's the kind of impact that you want from him.
I think he took his goal well when it came. I think that might have been his first touch of the ball, the assist for Watkins, and he's headed one onto the bar. I tell you, the one that he played a lovely little kind of give and go with Watkins when Watkins chipped it back up to him and he's taken an extra touch. I'm thinking, smash that first time. But again, we're all experts, aren't we? He'd be up there. He'd be in the top three. I can't think of an alternative. Like I said, I thought McGinn did okay. I thought Ramsey was the one. When Villa were a little bit tepid, looked like he'd take the ball forward and he'd run with it. It's a clean sheet for the back five. Not that they were ever overly troubled. I think it's just me being a miserable old man, because when I sat there, I was a little bit. It just felt a little bit flat. But I don't know. We've won the game. We've won it without looking like we're going to lose it. We've won it without really looking like we're going to draw it. So perhaps I should be grateful that we've made that 40 points and that we're at least a Premier League team that we can build and go again. Yeah,
I think that's almost what it was to a degree. I don't think obviously when we sat Dean Smith, we were a lot closer to the relegation battle than we are now. So to a certain extent, we've kind of fulfilled that remit of get us away from that safety at the bare minimum. But there was a point when we'd go on that losing streak and we had 34 points or whatever, and you kind of think, we're probably okay here, but let's just at least get over the line. And that's what this season has kind of whittled down to in the end, which is pretty grim, really, considering that the money that we've spent and the ambitions that we've got. But you've got yourself over that line now, pretty much. I mean, 40 points is 40 points. We played Burnley twice. There seems to be this kind of narrative that Burnley just go over and batter everybody. I know they've won again today, but still, Villa will be fine. They'll get enough points for the rest of the season. And that's what it was about, just getting over the line and kind of rebuilding the summer, give your manager the things he needs to go again next season, and hope that next season is more successful.
Yeah, I think today was, we haven't seen a win for a while. We haven't seen a win at Villa Park for a while, so it was important to do that. I'll tell you what, it was weird. I mean, whether Norwich had just given up or whether I don't know what Norwich's way following is like most weeks anyway. But to see them just have the lower, the lower half, of the lower tier of the half of the bit of the Whitton line that they normally get, it just frustrated me a little bit, really. And I know they don't do it anymore. I think it was when they dating back to the semi-final of Albion in the FA Cup when there were like a few chairs raining down from the north stand, and so they don't put the aways above the homes or the homes above the aways. But we've got this empty corner at Villa Park. I think the attendance was 40,000 rather than 42 something today. I just thought there's so many, even against Norwich, with respect, there's so many fans who would want to go and watch Aston Villa, even Aston Villa that haven't won in 5 games. And it just frustrates me that because Norwich weren't able to fulfil their allocation, you've just got a big empty corner at Villa Park, and you've got one steward up there with the easiest job in the world. He was just in control of an empty stand, basically. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest.
I don't.
It just annoyed me. You've got waiting lists for season tickets, and you've got fans who want to get to games, and then you've got empty seats, my lord. So it just annoyed me.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's have a quick look at the league table then. If I press the right button, there we go. 40 points, 13th place now, a little green arrow next to us, heading in the right direction, which is nice to see. 33 games played for us, 12 wins, 4 draws, 17 defeats. The goal difference is probably the most interesting thing. It's not even that's not interesting, but semi-interesting that only Palace above us in 12th have got a better goal difference than us in the top bottom 11, is it? From Brighton down, basically. Our goal difference is only -2, which is kind of a weird way of looking at it, but it kind of shows that we're not in a false position. But if you kind of look at Southampton on -17, for example, and we've got the same points as them, it kind of shows that we've been better than our points deserve. I'm making my point here in the roundabout way.
Yeah, we stuck 4 past them, so that probably...
Yeah, true. But yeah, that's Norwich down now, confirmed. Everton are the ones that are absolutely in trouble, 5 points from safety, but they've got 2 games in hand over Leeds.
Everton are relying on us to beat Burnley twice, aren't they?
But yeah, basically, yeah. Which I think we will beat Burnley in one of the games. But yeah, that's 40 points out of the magic number. 11 points away from Everton in 29th, on 29 points, sorry. Happy with that? If we finish now in 13th, would you be happy with that?
You know what I mean, mate? I'm not necessarily happy ever, am I? But in terms of...
That's true.
In terms of... It's a season of consolidation for me. There's been big changes. All of our momentum in the last few years was built on the coattails of these 2 brummy heroes who love the club and living the dream and all that kind of thing. And that's what carried us. Listen, it wasn't just Dean Smith and Jack Grealish. There was a lot of good people around them. But we've had to press reset on that this season. We've lost both of them. Yeah. And we're still struggling for what our identity should be. It's... there's a lot of people saying, Gerrard's Villa are no better than Smith's Villa, and Gerrard lost 4 on the spin, and Smith lost 5 on the spin, or whatever it was, and all these kind of things. But I don't know.
Smith lost like 18 in 2021.
Yeah, I'm not trying to spin it any particular way, but what I am saying is I don't know whether you can stamp an identity on a team within the space of 6 months. Basically, yeah. I think you really, and I don't even think it necessarily needs to be an open checkbook. I do think we should, and I do think we will sign another half a dozen players. But I think Gerrard, once he's had 6 months to do the job of keeping Villa up and making them safe and assessing what's got there. Now he's got a really, really important summer. It's funny because I've seen Klopp sign his new contract this week. He doesn't want to be the man that follows Jurgen Klopp into Anfield. God, that's the worst job ever, isn't it? It's like following Fergie into Man United. So,
yeah.
And I know we're all saying Gerrard will jump ship as soon as we can, and Klopp's got another 2026 now? Yeah. I think another 4 years. I think Gerrard, whoever follows Klopp, he's going to have to have some serious credentials to follow to keep his legacy going. But Gerrard can't afford to fail at Villa. We've said that before. He needs to leave Villa in a better position than he inherited Villa. So I know it's been a bit flat and a bit dull and a bit stop-start and stuff like that. But I just think we just need to see where we are at Christmas next May and just see what direction this I don't know, people leading our club want to take it, because so far they've done things pretty well, haven't they? They've done things pretty well from what they inherited to what we've become. So I think they've at least earned our trust to see what they can do with this manager when they back him properly in his first summer window.
Yeah, you talk about putting a stamp on a team in 6 months. I think Eddie Howe and Newcastle would disagree with that. The revival they've had.
Yeah, but that won't be the team that Newcastle start next season with.
No, I know that, but
you
you're
know what I
saying
mean?
a manager can't come in and do things straight away, but they've gone from no wins to being above us and 3 points more. Yeah, I mean, there'll be some people that will argue that Gerrard has barely even done enough in his managerial career to, kind of validate him being Villa manager. Never mind making a case for him to go on and be Klopp's replacement. So let's kind of walk before we can run here. Anthony says, would you class it as a better season than last if we managed to get 9th, but a lower points total than last year? We had 55 last year, and obviously mathematically, but I know we can match that now, can't we? If we won every game, which let's face it, we're not going to.
I don't think it's going to be a better season than last, regardless of how we finish.
I disagree. I think if you finish in the top 10, you count that as better.
I'm not so sure. I think it's better in the sense that actually Villa Park is open for business and we're all there, and we can enjoy it in that sense. I think it's been a really, really dishevelled kind of season. But we're not. Let's be honest, Dan. What points now did we get? 55.
Yeah, I think
we're
so.
We're not going to match that, are we?
Huh? But if you finish 9th on 48 or whatever, it's only there isn't many points in it. I mean, we're arguing over something that's important, aren't we? Really, like finishing 9th. Here we go. Like it's whatever, isn't it? You don't win a trophy for that. You don't get into Europe. Let's move on. I don't care. Wherever we finish, we finish. The last thing I wanted to... Have you got any shout-outs or anything? So I've got one that I need to do. Have you got any nonsense you want to throw?
No, well, I've got the one thing. I don't know what you'll think of me of this. I was going to ask you. Couscous. Discuss.
Oh, no.
I'm a boy from Raleigh Regis. It's not Waitrose couscous. It's Tesco couscous. So does Tesco couscous mean I'm still keeping it real? And do you not like couscous at all?
I don't like it. No, there's something about the texture that just doesn't sit right with me. No to couscous for me.
No.
I'm doing a no carb diet at the moment, so I wouldn't be able to eat it anyway.
So it wouldn't be what would be a choice of carb if you were having carbs? Do you like potato salad?
It's okay. You know what I've gotten into as I've gotten older?
Go on.
Coleslaw.
Yeah, I like coleslaw.
I was never a coleslaw fan, and I don't mind it now. Aaron says Tesco means that you're in the clear with your kind of...
Oh, good. Man of the people.
Every man kind of thing. Potato salad's all right. Don't mind it.
That's enough. That's all the couscous chat I've got.
All right, good.
He was just sitting next to me because I want to eat it because I've just come home.
I've had a tweet from David, who I think watches the podcast, or he better do, seeing as he tweeted me to ask for help on sharing his charity link. I think his Twitter username used to be Big D, which always made me laugh. Hot Diggity D, I think, is his Twitter at. He's raising money for Alzheimer's Society, which is something that I've had in my family. They're doing half marathon, and he tweeted me saying something like he was running / walking / crawling this marathon, and whether we could share his link. So if you want to go and support a worthy cause and one of our own, then you can do so. I'll put the link in the description and everything of this YouTube video and etc. etc. If you go on my Twitter, which you can see on down here somewhere here, I'll retweeted it, so it's over there. So good luck, David. You're a better man than me, because I won't be able to do that. Have you ever done anything like that? A marathon or a skydive or
call it Snickers now, don't
they? Good, yeah.
No, I think I did a 10K once and it nearly killed me. So I'm not a very active person, Dan, to be honest. Just sit here,
eating couscous.
Very couscous into my mouth, chatting crap. I'm not. The idea of all that kind of throwing yourself out of a plane and bungee jumping and stuff like that.
Not for me.
I don't know, more power to people who do it, but I get an adrenaline rush just by going to the fridge and seeing that I have actually got beers in there. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Hey, have we got to plug our European stuff?
Yeah, go on. You take the floor. Talk about it.
Right. So we wanted to go early on it. We realised that it's May the 26th when it's the 40th anniversary, but we've got a really good podcast, in our opinion, and in the opinion of the feedback in the comments as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Sid Cowans, Tony Morley, Dennis Mortimer, and Alan Evans, who we met down in Cornwall a few weeks ago, and tried to make it as laid back a kind of old lads having a good old chat as we could. And I think Dan's done a really good job of weaving that together in the edit. So watch it if you can. I think, I know those stories have been told lots and lots of times. There'll be some that you've heard before. Hopefully there'll be some that you haven't heard before. But it's delivered in a really natural, interesting way. I think we had great fun filming it. The legend that is Sid Cowans reveals that he's a Claret Blue fan. So if you're watching this, Sid, big shout out.
I'm sorry about the last couple of minutes. And Sid, do you like couscous? That's the big question.
Yeah, does Sid Cowans like couscous? That's what everybody wants to know. And Dan's also, which this is really testing the patience of our loyal followers. He's done a behind the scenes view as well, which is just us talking about why Cornwall when these guys are. There's the decor that needs updating in Dan's mum and dad's house. Just a behind the scenes, just a whirlwind 25 hours down from Halzone and Kiddie to Cornwall to spend time with the legends, and it was an honour. It was great fun. It was a bit of a trek, but we enjoyed it. So check those out on our YouTube channel. We're also we're selling a souvenir special of the Birmingham Mail, which goes on sale on May the 5th. I think there's a pre-order link that we'll share on our socials in the next couple of days as well. And you might think, why should I put that alongside my 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, 25, 30, 35-year anniversary specials? There is some fresh stuff in there as well that we've put together. I've dusted off the quill to do a bit of writing myself. Don't let that put you off. There's still some good stuff in there as well. I think it's £250. It's £2.50. I think it is.
It is.
Yeah, that'll be available in all good stockists from May the 5th, which is Thursday, I think, something like that. So, those are the big plugs.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much. I'm going to end this podcast actually with the trailer for that 1982 podcast, so I'll play it and we can head out of here while that runs for the rest of the people still watching. There'll be links to the marathon thing that I just talked about on all our 1982 content. So if you are interested in our big plugs at the end here, you can go over and fill your weekend with those. Matt, thanks for your time as always. We'll be back next week. Burnley away, isn't it? Next Saturday. So that might be me and Ash or me and John or whoever's going to be at Turf Moor. So post-match chats will be back next week and we'll do some kind of catch-up in the week as well. But if you can't get enough of us, 1982 stuff is all over our channels. Matt, thank you.
Cheers. Villa.
Yeah, feel free to head off. I will play this trailer and end the broadcast. Thanks everyone for watching.
They had the trophy on the pitch and they were throwing it around to each other. I just felt that day
angry.
I just felt we're going to take this off you next season.
The work rate from that team was unbelievable.
Is that including me, Shorey?
That's including everybody.
That's making up for you, sure.
But I think he was a type of manager who'd quite happily win every game 1-0, wouldn't he?
Yes.
It's like you didn't want to win 4-3 or 5-4.
No.
It wasn't like that. You give nothing away.
Tony didn't come in and give any ultimatums or anything like that. He was, we all knew Tony anyway, but Tony didn't need to say anything to us. He just needed to sort of be in charge of us. I felt we were in charge of ourselves. Our destiny was in our hands. It wasn't in a new manager coming in and taking over. And
I walked over to him, sat down next to him, and he turned around and he went, "You were lucky."
Did you mean to hit the post with the shot? From the yard out. And
did you still wind him up about that and coming up?
No, we don't wind him up. No, he scored the goal. Listen, none of us care. God, I wish I had scored it.
The best thing about it was, as you were speaking earlier, is that team is the best team the club have ever had and never will have.
I mean, I just think to myself, being captain, there's no way I could have gone up with a Bayern shirt on. I just knew I couldn't do that.
And if you can go through a whole season and trust in each other, in fact 2 seasons really, and trusting each other wholeheartedly, that is fantastic. We never had that again after the European Cup final.
The team of 80, 81, 82, are true legends in Aston Villa folklore. And for me, that just makes us You know, we're history, and I love that.